Shalom, actually this is a redo of a video. I had run out of tape, so I had to delete some videos on this SIM card, I believe. So I'm going to try to remember exactly where I was going with it. Basically what I was saying was that a lot of times, first of all, I was saying as a disclaimer, I have the right, and that we all have the right to know who we are, no matter at what level of our knowing. And then it also should be considered, and must be considered, that a people that has had their whole history taken away from them have the right to not only know who they are, but pursue all the knowledge about themselves. And in doing so, and then proclaiming who they are, no one has the right to subject them or subrogate them any further, to deny them of who they are, and then play ignorant about the fact of who they are, and then also make it seem like make it more out of than what it should be made of. For instance, just because someone says they know who they are, and I'm proclaiming who I am, that does not mean that I'm against you. When I mean you, another nation, or whoever's saying that, I mean that they're against another nation. That doesn't mean they're proclaiming who they are. The Israelites, the people, the so-called Negroes, have been gladly accepting everyone else for who they are for years, and never really have said anything bad about anybody for being who they are and proclaiming it on national television. Matter of fact, we've in the past acknowledged people that's not who we think they are as being us, and had no problem with it. Even in the religious circle, we worship a Jesus Christ who is not even the one that's portrayed in the churches. I mean, that's actually in the Bible, but it's portrayed through the churches. So that's just the truth. I'm gonna tell the truth, so it don't matter what messages they send, because right now, it's just the truth. And actually that's the only thing that's gonna, when the Most High said He's gonna make this a set apart nation, that all nations shall come in and bring in their righteousness into. Only way that we're gonna do that is if all nations tell the truth. That's the only way we're gonna be able to do that. So until all nations tell the truth, there will be no truth. Now there is the truth, but that's the only time there's gonna really be peace, is when all nations tell the truth. But look at this: you have a remnant in all nations that are telling the truth. So, in saying that, I was watching this video on YouTube. It was called "The White Slave" Episode 1, and then in that video, basically, it kind of told the Christopher Columbus story in a sense. Where it had the Spaniards, and there was one scene where this Israelite woman, at this time, the Israelites were in slavery, even though we already know that they were a royal people before they were slaves under subjugation. But there's one scene, this one lady who was a slave came into the home, and I guess she was working at this home, as a slave, and she brought in some food, but she dropped it. And then the woman of the house got very angry at her, and then told her, was talking bad to her. And then the husband was sitting there, and then the daughter was trying to defend the slave lady, the Israelite, that was under subjugation. And then the woman kept talking, so the husband eventually said, "That's enough. I'm not gonna have this in this home." So he took her out and beat her with a whip. And then my thought was that, man, I couldn't even get paid to act that out. I wouldn't even want to be an actor acting out that stuff. So, just from the thought of it. And then, so as I'm watching it, then come to find out, the Spaniard man was sleeping with the Israelite woman, you know, and she was a slave, so I'm pretty sure she didn't have any say so really into it at that time. So he's sleeping with her, and then he's trying to, basically they're gonna have sex outside in the open, but the daughter came out and saw it. So the thought was this, as I was continuing to tell the story, just getting back to the story when the other video cut off. And this is not to offend anyone, but this is just what apparently the kind of things was going on in the past, and a lot of hard feelings are still going on today, and a lot of the stuff that's going on is behind the scene. But they tell you in plain sight. So, and then the thought was this, and I was saying, don't be offended in this, because those who are real and true know this is the truth. A lot of times they say wars are started over women, and a lot of times the women are very outspoken from the standpoint of they have the right to speak. I'm not saying that they shouldn't speak, but what I'm saying is a lot of times, just like from the same spirit that Eve had with Adam, the Most High has told Adam what to do and what not to do. But because Eve has a way about, a subtle way. If you're offended in this, don't be offended. But if this don't fit you, just let it go out the window. I'm just making a point. She had a subtle way. So the way she talked to Adam, or the way the woman was talking to the Spaniard in the movie, and the way and different things like that. So puts the man at an odd position. And then in the so-called Negro household, just making a point, where the women basically puts the man in a position to, I thought you was a man. I'm just saying, I thought you was a man. With the movement of the neck and all that. I thought, put him in a position to where now you're challenging the manhood, from the Spaniard side to the other side, to whatever side, the Israelite side. Now putting the man in a strange position to make, challenge his manhood to make him move a certain way according to the way she wants him to go. Now, I'm not saying that a woman does not have, she's not powerful, or she has no right to say. I'm not saying any of those things. I'm just saying, just trying to make sure that the woman, if you're listening to her, make sure she's led by the Spirit of the Most Highest. Because she led by the flesh. Then I had a thought, from one side to the other, that can lead to violence unnecessarily. And even from the Israelite point of view, we've been subjugated, segregated, hypothecated, personated, all these different type of things. Treated violently, unwarranted. All these different type of things. And then today, because we're waking up, you can have leaders that can lead the nation into peril or into unwarranted territory that's not necessary, based on the flesh, because they feel like this is what needs to be done, and it's according to time, because the Most High said that this certain things gonna happen, and certain things, the Most High is what He say is gonna happen. But make sure it's in the Most Highest time, and the Most Highest is the one that's doing it. He said, "Vengeance is mine," says the Most High. He said, I shall recompense. Let me read a couple of scriptures. It says Proverbs 13:2, for the fruit of the lips people enjoy good things, but the unfaithful have an appetite for violence. So that's what I'm talking about. You're listening to the wrong lips from either side. 2 Timothy 3:1-5. Let me go somewhere else since we're talking about lips. Before I move on. 7 things that Yahuwah hates. Yahuwah. A proud look, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked plans, feet that are swift to run into evil, a false witness who speaks lies, and one who sows discord among the brethren. So if any of us are doing any of those things, we should just repent. And repent just means stop doing it. Turn away from it. If it what's in your power to do. And if not, take it to the Most High and ask Him to help us. So we may stop these things. 2 Timothy 3:1-5. But understand this, that in the last days there will come times of difficulty. For people will be lovers of self, lovers of money, proud, arrogant, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, heartless, unappeasable, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not loving good, treacherous, reckless, swollen with conceit, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of the Most High and the Most Highest, having the appearance of godliness but denying His power. Avoid such people. And then it says, one of the men with Yahusha pulled out his sword and struck the high priest slave, slashing off his ear. Put away your sword, Yahusha told him. Those who use the sword will die by the sword. And in that scripture right there, that just consider having a sword or a firearm, arm, is not that's constitutional. But if you use it in the manner of, let's say, Jesse James, so to speak, let's use that for example, living by it. That's how you make your living. Unlawfully. Doing wrong with it. That's what you mean by living with it. Those who live by it. Psalms 11:44-5. And Yahuwah is in His holy temple. His holy temple, you are the temple. And Yahuwah's throne is in heaven, for the kingdom of heaven is in you. His eyes behold, His eyelids test the sons of men, and Yahuwah tests the righteous and the wicked. And the one who loves violence his soul hates. Upon the wicked He will rain snares, fire and brimstone and burning wind will be the portion of their cup. Then go back to what I just read earlier about the 7 things He hates. Also go and read Galatians 5 when He talks about the works of the flesh. Psalms 5:5. And the foolish shall not stand in thy sight. Thou hatest all workers of iniquity. Psalms 11. God, He said, Elo is an honest judge. He's angry with the wicked every day. Then I would say this too. Remember when Joshua, I believe I'm telling the story correctly, when Joshua took the Israelites to war, being of the tribe of Judah. See, the Most High has a way of doing things that's untraditional. That's not the ways of man. Who would say going to war, walk around a place 6 times, and on the 7th time shout to win the war? So He have all kind of ways to do things that is untraditional by men. And then I was looking in the book of the Apocrypha. I'm not going to read it all. It said, now when the nations around about heard that, this is First Maccabees 5:1. And when the nations round about heard that the altar was built and the sanctuary renewed as before, it displeased them very much. So now the nations are knowing that the Most High has rebuilt and let everybody know who the true Israelites are now. And many are displeased. Wherefore they thought to destroy the generation of Jacob that was among them, and thereupon they began to slay and destroy the people. Then Judas fought against the children of Esau in Adumah and Arabataim, because they besieged Israel. And he gave them a great overthrow and abated their courage and took their spoil. Also he remembered the injury of the children of Ben, who had been a snare and an offense unto the people, in that they lay in wait for them in the ways. And he shut them up therefore in the towers, and encamped against them, and destroyed them utterly, and burned the towers of that place with fire, and all that were therein. Afterward he passed over to the children of Ammon, where he found a mighty power and much people, with Timotheus their captain. So he fought many battles with them. To a length they were discomfited before him, and he smote them. And when he had taken Jazer with the towns belonging thereunto, he returned unto Judah. Then the heathen that were at Galat assembled themselves together against the Israelites that were there in their quarters to destroy them. But they fled to the fortress of Dathema, and sent letters unto Judas and his brethren. And then the heathen that around about us are assembled together against us to destroy us. And they are preparing to come and take the fortress whereunto we are fled, Timaeus being captain of their host. Come now therefore, and deliver us from their hands, and many of us are slain. Yea, all our brethren that were in the place of Tobiah are put to death, where their wives and their children also they have carried away captives, borne away with their stuff, and they have destroyed there about 1,000 men. While these letters were yet reading, and behold, there came another messenger from Galilee with their clothes rent, who reported unto the wives. Let's see. Then I'm skipping down to 17, verse 17. Then said Judas unto Simeon his brother, choose out 3 men, and go and deliver thy brethren that are at Galilee, for I and Jonathan my brother will go into the country of Gilead. So he left Joseph, the sons of Zacharias and Azarias, captain of the people, with the remnant of the host of Judah to keep it, unto whom he gave commandment, saying, take ye charge of this people, and see that you make not war against the heathen until the time that we come again. Now unto Simon were given 3,000 men to go into Galilee, and Judas and 8,000 men for the country of Gilead. Then went Simeon into Galilee, where he fought many battles with the heathen, so that the heathen were discomfited by him. And he pursued them unto the gate of Ptolemais, and there was slain of the heathen about 3,000 men, whose spoils he took. Okay, you see, he was given power by the Most Highest to do this. Now let's see what's going to happen to the people that's going into to battle without the blessings of the Most Highest. That even happened in the days of Moses, when he said don't go into battle, and then people went anyway, and then it didn't turn out good. Let's see, I'm going to start at First Maccabees 5:55. Now what time as Judas and Jonathan were in the land of Gilead, and Simon his brother in Galilee before Ptolemais, Joseph the son of Zacharias and Azarias, captain of the garrisons, heard of the valiant acts and warlike deeds which they had done, which what Judas and Jonathan had done, because they were ordained to do that. He said, wherefore Joseph the son of Zacharias and Azarias, captain of the garrisons, I'm just saying it so you know what he's talking about, said, let us go and get us a name, and go fight against the heathen that are round about us. So when they had given charge unto the garrisons that was with them, they went towards Jamnia. Then came Georgius and his men out of the city to fight against them. And so it was that Joseph and Azarias were put to flight, and pursued unto the borders of Judea, and there was slain that day of the people of Israel about 2,000 men. So there we see, and I'm not judging any Israelite brethren. I'm just saying consider, people that's in camps, and when you're leading people, just have for consideration, because I'm not your leader. Just consider though when you're telling the people to go out and do certain things, that you're led by the Spirit of the Most Highest, and the Most Highest told you to do it. Because everybody don't have the anointing or the blessing to move, and then until it's time for the Most Highest to move it anyway. So that's why also when I'm telling you, when I made my declarations and proclamations on YouTube, Facebook, and all these things, I've put it out there. Most High said this. His word is law. The law of the land says this. That is the law on the land. The owners of the corporation said this to the people of the corporation: you cannot do this anymore. All debts are discharged, set off, and settled, and all numbed gears have been given back under the authority of the American people, de jure. And then that's why I always brought up the 1828 definition of an American. And they also declared that the so-called African American, which are the Israelites, the Mu. And that's not to disclaim anybody. I'm not saying anybody else can say what they want to say, but I'm just speaking for myself right now and what they said. Because the other people always speak for themselves anyway, so I don't need to speak for them. That's not saying I'm against them. I'm just saying I'm talking about myself right now. And anybody that agrees that are Israelites, because I can't speak for all Israelites either, because they have the right to speak for themselves. But I'm speaking from what has been said. And I've shown why I have the right to act in the way I do, to make my actions and my writs the way I do, which I have learned from the Moors. And then therefore, since I've shown you all of my rights, the way I behave and the way I move, that is backed by everyone, except for the people that's acting under the color of law. Now the Most High can fight for me because I've shown my right to do that, and I'm doing it in honor. So now the Most Highest can fight for me. If anybody tries to go against him, against me in that manner, you're going against him because I'm doing what is right. So, according to what everybody said is right. Everybody that matters who said it is right. Now everybody matters, but some people act on their own opinions and feelings. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what everybody, the law, the Most Highest law, the law of the land, and the people who are over all corporations. Their top boss said that to them. So who's left? So saying that, then also I had made up I was doing a little research, and then when truth hits you, it bears witness to the truth. So a lot of times the things that we hear that it sounds offensive, really is offensive to our ignorance in many places. Because a lot of times people are telling us who we are, but we're ignorant to the fact that, and I'm not saying I'm above it in that standpoint. I am above the ignorance. I am above subrogation and all those things. But what I mean by that is, in many things I'm still ignorant. In many things a lot of us are still ignorant because we're still learning. Even though we know who we are, but we still have a lot more to know. And that goes for anybody in the world, because until you become the Most Highest, and nobody gonna do that, everybody gonna always have something to know. So there's no shame in that. So, and then like I said, I don't know Italians from the standpoint of I never grew up in their household, so I'm not disrespecting it. It's just in the past I've heard and I've watched certain things, and there's this movie called The Bronx Tale. Tell you about a story of an Italian young man who fell in love with an Israelite woman. And then sometimes they call us different things. Called us Moors. And in this case, it's MUURs that he was talking about, because a lot of times the Italians, even in them that I'm just speaking, considering that even some of them who don't know the history say it in an offensive way, but those who know the history knows it's really telling you the truth. So they get mad and you say you mulian. And then I was watching this video from The Drop. Good. This brother and the people that's with him are very talented as far as researchers and different knowledge base. And the video they were showing is how from one of these cartoons that was telling the truth. One of the cartoon characters said he was a Mulian from the city from the land of Mu. And then the Californians and different terms, Californians. Then some people say the Washita, different things. And they say the MUURs, the original mound builders, the Moors, the MUURs, MU. Just do some research, find out for yourself. So it's a lot of things that we've been told, and I'm not saying this what it is, but I'll leave that alone. Okay, so just wanted to make that video, and then also for your targeted individuals, it said we fight not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and wickedness in high places. So a lot of the wickedness that's going on is through the word. People praying and saying wicked things and speaking wickedness out against you, trying to curse you. So just for consideration, all of the targeted individuals, what we should do is, because I do this every morning. I get up every morning and I say this. I said, today is the day that Yahweh, whatever you say, to say the Most Highest, Abba, this is the day He has made. I shall be glad and rejoice in it. And no weapon formed against me shall prosper. No witches, no warlocks, no sorcerers, no devils, no demons, no jinns, no principalities and powers, no evil men and women, no gang stalking, no heart attacks, no strokes, no high blood pressure, no diabetes, no cancers, no internal nor external sickness nor disease of any kind. And every tongue that shall rise against me in judgment shall be condemned. For this is the heritage of the servants of the Almighty, the Almightiest. And I am a son of the Most Highest, the joint heir with the Hamashiach. I can do all things through Yahushua HaMashiach, in whatever name you use, that you have faith in. I'm healed by Yahushua HaMashiach's stripes, mind, body, and soul. All of my needs are met according to the Most Highest riches and glory through the Hamashiach Yahushua. I'm more than a conqueror because I'm a son of the Most Highest. Let the weak say I'm strong. This is the word. And I said, I am stronger than the enemy, for greater is the spirit of the Most Highest that is in me than the spirit of the evil one that is in the world. The Most High said He has set me on high, for I have known His name. Therefore will He answer when I call. He'll honor me and satisfy me with long life and show me His salvation. He shall give His angels, as some people say Malachims. He should give His Malachims charge over me, lest I dash my foot against a stone. 1,000 shall fall at my side, and 10,000 in my right hand, But no harm shall come to me, nor evil near my dwelling. And though a host shall encamp about, I shall not fear. And though war shall break out all around me, and there shall I be confident. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory. And this is forever. Amen. Thank you, the Most Highest. Your word is truth. It is not by power, nor by might, but by my spirit, says the Most Highest. And the Most Highest is not a man that he should lie. His word shall accomplish what it is set out to do, and it shall not return void. And I speak this into the atmosphere, and it's recorded on high. Matter of fact, it's recorded on the Most Highest, on the record books of the Most Highest. And he's not a man that he should lie, and he will honor his word. And shalom unto you, even unto the Gentile who desires to be set apart and righteous and tell the truth. Shalom unto you.